Good morning, Bimblers. And you join me outside of Chester train station. I realised this week it's been nearly a year since our Chester 1 Bimble, so I thought we should come back for Chester 2. So let's stop messing about and let's Bimble.
Washed in clean by a riverside. They told you the news. Kept so cold in the blackest tide.
I think spring has sprung, Bimblers. It's rather warm today. Might have to take the coat off in a bit. If you're going to visit Chester, you're going to find that there's a lot of things called Grosvenor. There's a hotel and a museum and a shopping centre and probably a pub as well. And we're here in Grosvenor Park. It's a family name whose lineage were all the Earls of Westminster, and then they were the Marquesses of Westminster, and in 1874 Queen Victoria made them the Dukes of Westminster, gave them a peerage. The land for Grosvenor Park was donated by Richard Grosvenor, the second Marquess of Westminster. Not a Duke yet, but his son was the first Duke. That would be Hugh Grosvenor. Richard was the MP for Chester in 1818 on behalf of the Whig Party. And anyway, he donated this park, and what a stunner it is. It was all laid out by a chap called Edward Kemp, who also designed Birkenhead Park. You'll find some nice park benches to come and eat your butties on. You'll also find some statues and artwork. You'll also find some medieval archways, which used to be dotted all around Chester, but now they're proudly displayed here in Grosvenor Park. One of which comes from St Michael's Church, which is now that medicine museum, sick to death. You'll also find a miniature railway, which was installed in 1996. That was installed to celebrate 100 years of a private miniature railway owned by Hugh Grosvenor at the Grosvenor family home. More on that in a bit. As you walk into the park, you might notice the park gates and the lodge next door to it. Well, they were designed by one of my favourites, John Douglas. Carved into the oak beams, you'll find 8 figures, and they represent William the Conqueror and the 7 Norman Earls of Chester. Very historic, and even more historic than that, just round the corner is the original Cathedral of Chester. Let's Bimble.
Right round the corner, I think. Isn't it beautiful? And what comes on it? What else? As well as
The coat's off, Bimblers. Rather a sunny day, I'm getting a sweat on. But we've made it to St John the Baptist Church here in Chester. Way back when, this would have been Chester Cathedral. It's been religious ground since the 3rd or 4th century. And in 689 AD, King Ethelred, the King of the Mercians, founded St John the Baptist Church here. In the Middle Ages, this was made Chester Cathedral. This is where the Bishop of Lichfield would have sat. That was up until 1082, when they had a change of management and changed where the head office was. This became co-cathedral with Coventry. It would have been a regular haunt of Edward I, Big Longshanks. He would have made all the princes and nobility from North Wales come here and swear on a piece of the Holy Cross that they wouldn't rebel against him. Not sure whether that was a real piece of the Holy Cross, but they thought it was. When Big Henry VIII came along and decided he was going to have loads of wives and he wasn't going to have the Catholic Church anymore, he kicked the monks out of Chester Abbey and made that the cathedral, and he bumped this one down to a parish church. He even knocked some of the church down. There's some ruins in the churchyard. As if to make it worse, along came Oliver Cromwell, and he made this a garrison during the Civil War. They would have aimed cannons at the city walls to get at the royalists. So in Victorian times, it needed a little bit of an MOT, and they got a fella called Richard Charles Hussey to do all the work to it. He did a stunning job. He was once the partner of a chap called Thomas Rickman, who we seem to be going on about every week. Just can't seem to get away from Thomas Rickman. But in 1881, my favourite John Douglas came here and put him a porch on. Very nice it is too. I think we should retrace our steps from Chester 1, go and pay our respects to John Douglas. Let's bimble.
And look to the bright side. So here's to the bad times forgotten in good lives. I won't let you down. I won't let you down. I'll take off my shoes and dance to the good news. Broken smiles, but they will turn it round. Smiles, but they will turn it round. So take off your shoes and dance to the good news. Take off your shoes and dance to the good news. To the bad times forgotten in good lives. I won't let you down. I won't let you down. I'll take off my shoes and dance to the good news. Broken smiles, but they won't turn it round. Smiles, but they won't turn it round. So take off your shoes and dance to the good news. Take off your shoes and dance to the good news. Take off your shoes and dance to the good news.
And so, Bimblers, we reach Overley Cemetery here in Chester, and in amongst all the gravestones, you'll find the grave of John Douglas, my favourite church architect. He fast became my favourite of the Victorian architects. He's got an odd sense of style. A lot of his churches remind me of Tim Burton films, little tiny spires. He was born in Sandyway in Cheshire, which is near Northwich and Winsford, and Cuddington, where we bimble close to Christmas. He was articled, that means apprentice to, Edward Graham Paley. You know how much I like him. He eventually became his chief assistant and then struck out on his own, and he had a practice here in Chester. No doubt, Bimblers, you've once walked past one of his works, possibly even frequented it. In Warrington, he designed St Anne's Church near the big Tesco, and he also designed the old Woolworths, which is now Poundland. That's one of John Douglas's. He designed St Paul's in Helsby and St James's in Haydock, as well as St John's in Weston. Here in Chester, he designed that big gold clock, you know, the Eastgate clock. It's kind of the thing you would put on a postcard for Chester. If you went on your holidays here, you'd send someone a postcard with that clock on it, and that was designed by John Douglas. A very interesting fellow. But anyway, Bimblers, it's time to indeed bimble. Down Duke's Drive. You can guess who that's named after. Let's bimble.
Big plans are easiest to make. Aim for the stars, it's yours, just wait. You do your best along the way. But it's those arms that told me I don't care if it's yours or mine. Without you, it's just a waste of time. You showed me from the start. Such inspirations need a heart to bring you round. It could be ours. Big aspirations need a heart to hold you, heart to hold you down. Though some get lost along the way, as sure as night designed the day. as long as I'm allowed to say. It's my heart that told me I don't care, you just disagree. Without you it wasn't meant to be. You showed me from the start, such inspirations need a heart to bring you round. It could be yours, big aspirations need a heart to hold you, heart to hold you. I don't care, you can say what you like. I'm a peace-loving person, but I know I'm right. It's as easy as right from wrong. I'm a lover, not a fighter, so I wrote this song. You showed me from the start, such inspirations need a heart to bring you round. It could be yours, big aspirations need a heart to hold you, heart to hold you down. From the start, such inspirations need a heart to bring you round. It could be yours, big aspirations need a heart to hold you, heart to hold you down.
And so, Bimblers, we reach Journey's End, Eccleston, in Chester. We've bimbled to in Eccleston before. That was in Chorley in Lancashire. But this gets its name from the same place. Eccleston basically means church town. Eccles comes from Latin. It's where you get ecclesiastic and ecumenical from. And you also get the Welsh word egluis, all coming from the Latin. Here in Church Town, you'll find a lot of buildings designed by John Douglas. According to my big book of Bimble, that would be the Institute. There's also a little shelter opposite the police house itself, the schoolmaster's house, the school, and the post office. Even the gates leading up to the church were designed by John Douglas. So of course, the church itself was designed by George Frederick Bodley. Yeah, it wasn't John Douglas at all. We've mentioned George Frederick Bodley before. He did up St Lawrence's Church in Frodsham, and he also built St Luke's Church in Warrington, near my old house. And he was the chap that overseen the work of Sir Giles Gilbert Scott when he was designing the Anglican Cathedral in Liverpool. George Frederick Bodley was asked to build a church here in Eccleston by Hugh Grosvenor, the first Duke of Westminster, and it cost him £40,000. That's about £4.5 million in today's money. According to Wikipedia, it's 100 metres tall or 330 feet tall, which I think is incorrect. I think they mean it's 33 metres tall or 100 feet tall. They've got their imperial and metrics mixed up, I think. The Grosvenor family live just down the road in something called Eaton Park, which I'd like to go and visit, but it's closed to the public most of the time. They do open it up for charity events, so maybe we'll go to one of them. Because I've heard there's a Mott and Bailey Castle just round the corner, so it's a good excuse to come back. But the St Mary's Church you see here today in Eccleston wasn't the first St Mary's Church here in Eccleston. They had another one. That was built in 1813 and demolished in 1900. There's still some of the remains of it in the churchyard today. That was designed by a William Porden. He apparently designed some of the stables at the Brighton Pavilion for the Prince Regent. Very posh. Very posh here in the graveyard of St Mary's Church, just next to those old ruins, are all the graves of the Grosvenor family. The first Duke, the second Duke, the second Marquess, a load of Earls, and even a movie star, Josephine Griffin. She married the second grandson of Hugh Grosvenor, the second Duke of Westminster. That would be a Patrick Hugh Filmer Sankey, and she was Josephine Griffin Filmer Sankey. She was just called Josephine Griffin when she was listed in the films, because you wouldn't fit that great big long name on the credits at the end. She starred in the 1956 film The Spanish Gardener with Dirk Bogarde. Star-studded round here.